Today we have a viewer recommended story and it's a really good one. So special shout out and thank you to Art Monzo over on the Big Jesse Discord. You're truly appreciated, my dude. Now, creating a new character and diving deep into a backstory to fully flesh out their history is one of the aspects that makes this game so interesting and immersive. In this story, the DM helps to facilitate that character creation high just to rip it away from them in one of the worst ways. And right when you think this dumpster fire of a situation couldn't get any worse, the DM throws gas all over it. I'm Big Jesse, and without further ado, let's get into it. I've always had a lot of friend groups to choose from to play D&D with since so many of my friends were met via D&D club in college. I bounced between groups focusing on playing in just one at a time, and as such I'm eager to try playing with different people to really experience other players and play styles. Recently, an amazing year-and-a-half-long campaign with my last group ended, and one of my friends in that group, knowing I'd want to try playing with some new people, suggested that I join his friend's soon-to-begin campaign. He said this DM was a forever DM by choice because he loved to write and finds a lot of enjoyment in story crafting. A couple other members in the same current group backed up this claim and said they played under him before and he puts tons of work into making expansive homebrew worlds. Intrigued, I agreed to join in on this game should the DM have me. My friends gave me his Discord info and I messaged him asking to join. He was very kind and responded pretty quickly. He told me about how he liked to make his homebrew worlds feel interactive and try to work with player backstories to shape the world in which we play. He requested I make a character and let him know what I came up with, and he would see if he could work the story around some of my background by tweaking some lore and adding extra NPCs with knowledge of me. This sounded so cool and I was all for it. He also said this campaign would begin around level 6, so I could add in a reason my character had that level of experience and give him some reputation as a result to make his backstory even richer. I spent the free time I had over the next couple days coming up with a fighter who was a rugged mercenary for hire, known around the area as a cold, gruff killer who got the job done. I talked with the DM who worked with me to establish my reputation in the starting area and suggested a scenario where I join the party after the rest of the group meets up and an NPC suggests, "Your work sounds dangerous. You should go find Scruff McGruff, the Witcher wannabe. He can aid you." This would help to make my character's inclusion more natural. He even worked with me to try and outline a rough idea of where I wanted to take my character so he could include story elements to play off of for my development. In return for this, he asked I write up a small essay about my character to discuss his backstory, goals, plans, ambitions, how he'd react to different things, etc. He wanted tons of minor details like my siblings' names, fond childhood memories, the works. This was pretty cool to me, and I really looked forward to playing such a fleshed out character through the duration of the campaign. This sounds so much fun. This makes me, stories like this so far, I will put a disclaimer so far, this makes me yearn and pine for that seat at the table to immediately start playing right now, right this instant. Let me know down in the comments if you were thinking the same thing. Let's get back at it. Session 1 comes and the adventure begins. Everybody meets up and Scruff joins in after a down payment and a promise of a sizable cut along the way. We get through session 1 without much issue. We have a traditional bandit encounter and have the party work together in combat for the first time in a low-risk scenario. Standard stuff. After session 1 ends, I talk to the other players and get to know their characters a little better. They've played with the DM before and they say he does this work with backstories each campaign and is pretty generous about not letting characters with so much work and effort put into them die easily, usually giving second chances at great costs. Like, long side quests in order to revive those who do die. Session 2 comes and we essentially end up hunting down a scout of some raider group that's terrorizing the village we ended up in. The group has a lot of interest in resolving the raider problem as they stole documents with directions to the next goal, so we want to figure out where the raider home base is and get in there. We end up following the scout into an ambush. It's not a big ambush, rather it's one of the raider captains with a small party out and about, and the scout traveled right into them for aid, knowing we were following him. Combat begins, and after some neat moral choices and problem solving regarding some hostages that they had with them, it came down to the captain and the party. 5v1. He's clearly a boss battle after showing off his abilities, and the DM has purposefully kept him rather uninvolved up to this point. I assumed it was to make it more fair for fighting the boss, but it was revealed it was actually to hide the boss's abilities. The boss fight begins and the captain turns out to be part spellcaster on top of having a long reach weapon with multi-attack. Being the fighter I am, I was front and center initially, and I took his insane combo of God knows how many d8s and damage on melee, and the DM made multi-attack more into any 2 attacks, so I got hit by a follow-up ice spell for another insane amount of damage. I'm pretty sure it was like 4 to 5 d8s for that spell. At this point, I'm a 6th level fighter reduced from nearly full to 2 HP in a single turn. Naturally, I take my turn to disengage and get 15 feet away behind our barbarian and ranger meat shields so that I can recover. You'd think that this would take me out of focus of the boss, right? Having 2 combatants in between me and him? Nope. On the boss's next turn, he made a ranged spell attack against me, completely ignoring the other characters, which of course made me unconscious. His second attack that turn was another ranged attack on the unconscious fighter behind other active combatants. Next turn, what do you know? He goes out of his way to round my teammates and hit me with a melee attack, killing me instantly due to melee critting on unconscious targets automatically and filling out my death saves. At this point, I kind of just went silent and contemplated if the DM was targeting me because he didn't like me or something, and I figured I'd wait to say my piece after combat. During the course of the fight, our ranger, a long-standing player of the DM's group, also died in a similar excessive focus fire action. Combat ended after that, and the party just kind of stood over our bodies. We had a player with Revivify, but being starting adventurers at level 6 in the middle of the woods, we had no diamonds. Confused, the party just kind of mulled there, waiting for the DM to say some NPC walks up to help or something, but nothing. They haul our bodies back to town and start asking around for an advanced healer. Maybe this is a plot point to get us to interact with some powerful healer or mage. Nope, nothing. The session awkwardly ends with us being buried, and after some silence, the DM says to me and the former ranger, "Make sure you guys message me tomorrow to start planning your new characters," and leaves the call after some immediate small talk to go to bed. Being confused, I ask the group about it, and they say it's the fastest they've ever seen a character die in DM's game before. Just jumping in to say, if you think I've earned it, subscribe. It's free. Alright, let's get back into it. I messaged the DM the next day, just kind of going along with making a new character. I was disappointed, but I really wanted to keep trying with this group. I suggested my next character just be a wizard who was out adventuring. The DM got upset and said, "That's a really simple archetype and goal. You should try adding more to it." After more talking, he basically told me that
Having a regular wizard is boring, and you should plan around having a crazy backstory about how maybe you did some great magical sin, like cursing someone or seeing visions of great calamity that you felt you had to prevent.
I was kind of put off investing a lot of work into another character after my last bout of backstory effort ended 2 sessions in following extreme combat tunnel vision from the boss. I tried to push back, saying I just wanted it to be simple, or that we can just give my wizard magical amnesia and the DM can reveal my backstory. That way I share the same revelation moments as my character, but the DM got frustrated and told me,
You have to write a good backstory to fit into the world.
he left me with,
I need your 3-page character bio by game time on Saturday, or you won't be playing next session.
then just promptly left the call. I was really taken aback by this, but again, I just pressed on. I built my wizard to be a utility caster to aid in getting out of dangerous situations with divination magic purely for fudging enemy rolls. I wrote a backstory about going on a magical pilgrimage searching for fell magic that stole my family, to which the DM approved. Next session comes and my wizard and the other new character, a monk, get introduced. The details aren't critical here, but we got led to another combat encounter in much the same vein as previously. This time from a shopkeep luring and trapping us to be assaulted by the raiders. And in pretty much the same way as last time, the enemies focus fire on the first player hit. This time, the barbarian, completely ignoring all other combatants until the barbarian is dead. At this point, the barbarian player goes silent and doesn't speak at all. The next target was the new monk, who, you guessed it, got focus fired on and died again. Combat ended 1 turn later and the monk angrily said, "What the fuck, DM? You killed me 2 sessions in a row. They literally focused on us to the point where they put themselves in harm's way just to focus and kill us."
Well, what do you think they're gonna do? They see you have a cleric, and they're gonna make sure you don't get healed and get back up.
How would they even know that? Why would they even think that? I spent 6 hours making my ranger and you made me spend like 10 hours more making a monk story that fit the setting for you to kill him off in 1 sitting. Like, what the fuck? Then the barbarian says, "Yeah, it seems kind of bullshit that you had more than 1 player death per encounter, bro."
Well, sorry that there's stakes and tension. You can't have a good story without actual consequences.
About 30 minutes of arguing followed this, with all but 1 player berating the DM for forcing players to put in so much work to get killed in such a bullshit way. Eventually, I left the call and, surprise, no session was scheduled for next week, or ever. I left the Discord group and let it be. This was only 3 weeks ago, so I'm still unsure of the full fallout. TLDR. DM wants elaborate character ideas and requires multi-page bio and backstory write-ups for all characters, but goes out of his way to kill multiple character players every session. You know, the worst thing a DM can do is break that trust between a player and a DM, and not too many things can do that faster than a DM who obviously metagames during encounters. Now, there's nothing wrong with running an encounter with a smart, wily, ruthless enemy who rips apart fallen party members, as long as it makes sense in the situation. Bandits that, to their own detriment, are focus firing on down party members while ignoring the immediate threat of active PCs makes zero sense. It kills the trust and destroys the immersion. This DM started off so well and honestly has a lot of potential if he can focus in on what's good and exclude what's bad. Oh man, I'm glad I'm not a part of that game, and I'm sure you're glad as well. Once again, I want to give a huge thank you to Art Monzo over in the Big Jesse Discord. If there's a story you would like me to do, then recommend it to me. Come over to the Discord. If not, then just come over and say hi to us. The link is down in the description. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's free. Thank you so much for watching. Later.